You have given the complete justice to your education throughout these 2 days and your books and studies. So I was with the globalization, and I told you about the causes of the globalization, which I'd already defined. That is your idea, your capital, your commodities. When one person move from another part, right? Your ideas moves also, your capital also moves, and your commodities also move. These are all part of the globalization. So just I'm recapitulating it, what we have done on Friday. Then we came to the political consequences, and one of the debate that has been generated as a consequences of contemporary process of globalization relates to the its ongoing political impact, which I told you earlier. What is basically contemporary, जो आज घटना घट रही है पूरे वर्ल्ड के अंदर जो घट रही है, that is called contemporary. In Hindi we call it समकालीन. So how does globalization affect traditional conception of state sovereignty? Basically state की जो sovereignty है, ये है state means your Punjab, Haryana. This is not a state. State means here means country. Country की जो sovereignty है उसके ऊपर भी globalization का effect करता है politically. Look now, earlier it was very much difficult to connect with the other part of the world. Other part of the world means you are in India. It is very difficult to connect it with your American and your Australian people and what is happening over there, because communication was not so big, and communication was not so fast, communication was not so advanced. But now these days, due to the communication, due to the commodities, due to the commodities, due to the commodities, everything is basically uh, is very fast. We can go from one part to another part very easily. So what is whatever happening, that is called, that is also have its impact on the political consequences. So at the most simple level, globalization results in an erosion of state capacity. I told you yesterday, day before yesterday, on Friday itself, right? स्टेट कैपेसिटी के ऊपर जो इरोजन होता है, बेसिकली हम स्टेट की कैपेसिटी को इरोज करते हैं, मिनिमाइज करते हैं. इरोजन करना, इरोज करना, मिनिमाइज करना. ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, the old welfare state is now giving way to a more minimalist state that performs certain core functions such as maintenance of law and order and security of its citizens. अब पहले ये नहीं था, पहले स्टेट इतना ध्यान नहीं देते थे. अब नो, बिकॉज due to the globalization, everyone is very much near to you, and the state is creating a lot of concern about its maintenance of law and other part of other core functions and our security and all. So this was, I told you that day. The entry and the increased role of multinational companies all over the world leads to a reduction of the capacity of governments to take decisions on their own. I This is all recapitulate. I'm doing it. So basically, जो मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज है ना, वो क्या करती हैं? वो उनके पास इतना पैसा होता है, इतनी कैपेसिटी होती है, इतना इकोनॉमिक फोरम होता है, इतना मैन पावर होता है, इतना पॉलिटिकल इफेक्ट होता है दूसरे कंट्रीज का मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज के ऊपर, का दूसरे कंट्रीज के ऊपर, छोटी कंट्रीज के ऊपर, या इकोनॉमिकली डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज, इकोनॉमी डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज के ऊपर, कि दे कैन चेंज द होल सिनेरियो ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर एस्पेक्ट. During the time of Morarji Desai, we banned Coca-Cola. कोका कोला, जो आप कोका कोला ड्रिंक वगैरह पीते हो, सॉफ्ट ड्रिंक्स वगैरह, तो मोरारजी देसाई ने उसको बैन कर दिया था. And Coca-Cola was very much frustrated. American companies were very much frustrated. Now see how the American companies and Chinese companies and multinational companies, they are entering in your market from A part to Z part. Everything is made in India, made in other part of the world. Maybe even Taiwan and in other countries, they are also taking part in your marketing. So they have their own say. So this was, I told you. Now come to the This was a political aspect, and now then this was a economic consequences. This was political consequences, because every part has its own consequence on the globalization. So economic consequences, this was political consequences. Now comes economic consequences. Here is economic consequences, right? While everything may not be known as economic facets, facets mean पहलू, एक के बाद एक जो steps हम करते हैं उसे facets कहते हैं. So while everything may not be known about the economic facets, some English are new, you have to go through the English to good. If you want to boost up your career, you have to develop your English capacity. Otherwise, it's very difficult in the today's world, because due to the again globalization, your multinational languages are very fast. You have to switch over to the English or other languages, so that even Chinese are there, German are there, French are there. You should. I don't not saying that you learn all these. It's better if you learn it, but English is mandatory. So facets mean here, facets mean your आपके जो पहलू होते हैं ना, एक के बाद एक जो फेस आता है, उसे facets कहते हैं. So globalization, this particular dimension shapes a large part of the content of direction of contemporary debates surrounding globalization. So economic part is having a lot of value. कभी कभी political science में कहा पाता है कि you have got lot of political rights, but you don't have any economic rights. Then is there any good thing, goodness about getting the political rights without the economic rights? समझ में आता है कि आपके पास सब बहुत कुछ राजनीतिक पार तो है, राइट, लेकिन आपके पास इकोनॉमिक पार नहीं है. तो राजनीतिक पार क्या करेगी जब आपके पास पैसा ही नहीं है? So money is not. I'm not saying money is everything, but money has its own value. You cannot eat the money, but you cannot eat without the money. So a part of the problem has, this is the part here. A part of the problem has to do what defining economic globalization itself. The mentioned economic globalization draws our attention immediately to the role of international organizations, which I told at this part also I told you, IMF and WTO and all. So about this, and I told you that you have to read these things. Today I will have another part of the economic globalization. Let's come to the last part of it. Economic globalization has created an intense. Give me a few seconds. In thinking, a part of problem has to it I have done already this one, and next is, yeah, different countries in thinking. Yeah, this one. In thinking about the consequences of globalization, it is necessary to keep in mind that the same set of policies do not lead at the same result everywhere. You know, whatever your policies are, this is one part you have one policy, with another country you have some other policy. It again, this is the economic globalization के अंदर आप ना सबके साथ एक जैसा व्यवहार नहीं कर. You can't do the same behavior with economic behavior or political behavior with every country. Your foreign policy or economic policy with the Nepal will be separate, with the Bhutan will be separate, and with the Germany will be separate, as well as with American government, it will be separate. It depends on you. It's necessary to keep in mind the same set of policies do not lead to the same results everywhere. और results भी सबके एक जैसे नहीं होंगे, right? So while globalization has led to the similar economic policies adopted by government in different parts of the world, this has generated vastly different outcomes in different parts of the world. It is again crucial to pay attention to the specific context rather to make a similar generalization in this connection. So basically, once upon a time, Modi was not allowed to go to America during the one some disturbances. इन गुजरात, राइट, राइट्स हुए थे वहां पे, तो उसके बाद ना मोदी वाज द चीफ मिनिस्टर ओवर देयर इन गुजरात एट दैट टाइम, so he was not allowed, he was not able to get the visa, he was not able to get the visa from American government. But now see what Trump said and what Biden now, who's Joe Biden, who is going to be the president of America, what is his policies towards India and what India's policy towards America. So, it changes from time to time. It changes. It has to be changed. Economic policies, your political policies, your political scenario, economic scenario, and your relation with other countries has to change. Changes is a change. The change is permanent. So like this. So it is again crucial to pay attention to specific context rather than to make simple generalization in this connection. So economic globalization has created an intense division of the opinion all over the world. जो इकोनॉमिक ग्लोबलाइजेशन है, इसने इंटेंस डिवाइड कर दिया पूरे वर्ल्ड को, राइट, पूरा द होल वर्ल्ड इज डिवाइडेड नाउ. Let me come to the page now. Yeah, right. So economic partner, listen to me very carefully. Economic globalization ने पूरे वर्ल्ड को डिवाइड कर दिया. किसने डिवाइड कर दिया? Two things. Basically, economy is one of the major aspects. They have divided the whole world into two aspects: have developing aspect, developed aspect. Right. So it's to marketing, to capture the market, and to get the economy divided, because developing country, they provide much more good market to the and market material and manpower. So, economic globalization, due to the economic globalization, we are very much close to each other. Interconnectedness बहुत बढ़ गया है, right? You go to another country, you go for the job, you go for the placement, good placement. Why you go? Because the economy is good over there. So those who are concerned about social justice are worried about the extent of state withdrawal caused by process of economic globalization. और economic globalization ने basically, economy को सब पहले रख दिया, and social, your आपकी सामाजिक जो कार्य है, सामाजिक, your social work, and culture, your social duties as a human being, it's a secondary now. Let me tell you one thing. It's a, it should not be secondary, but now it's a secondary. Your paisa is talking now. Your money is talking. Dollars, euro, they are all over the world. They are controlling the whole manpower and whole economic system throughout the world. So, and they are worried. The social, the people who belong to social aspects, they are worried about it, about the extent of state. They are worried about the extent of state withdrawal caused by the processes of economic globalization. They point out that it is likely to benefit only a small section of population while impoverishing those who were dependent on the government for jobs and welfare, education, health and sanitation. वो ये कह रहे हैं कि जो डेवलपिंग वर्ल्ड है, दे आर गोइंग टू सफर थ्रू व्हाट, थ्रू द इकोनॉमिक ग्लोबलाइजेशन. क्योंकि जो कंट्री रिच है, दे आर गेटिंग मच मोर मनी, मच मोर रुपया पैसा, एंड डॉलर्स आफ्टर डॉलर्स, their economic economy is very, from one, they're touching from one part to another part. A very vast economy is very vast over there. So they are capturing one market after another market, right? So and what happens now? Now the developing country, they are suffering for the education. Education is in secondary parts now. Health is health aspect, sanitation. They are not taking care of these things, right? So those who were dependent, जो दो गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर डिपेंड है, जो जो गवर्नमेंट दूसरे देशों के ऊपर डिपेंड है, वो अपने अपने लोगों की दे आर अनएबल टू केयर ऑफ देम. वो सोच नहीं पा रहे कि वो हम अपने लोगों को नजरअंदाज कर रहे हैं. They want to get the money, or it's okay, they want to get the manpower, they want to get the market power, they want to get the economy part, but the basic facilities they are neglecting. So they have emphasized the need to ensure institutional safeguards or creating social safety nets to minimize the negative effects of globalization. I told you that globalization has its positive aspects also. Globalization has its negative aspects also. But due to the economy is in forefront. सबसे सिर्फ बड़ा पहलू है. We are neglecting other aspects, other facets. That is the reason that the negative effects are coming much more. Right. So those who are economically weak, it is those countries which countries are economically weak, they are suffering badly. Due to them a lot of here now. Suppose we have to face a lot of economic losses due to the corona. Right. Many people have to face lot of million and million rupees or dollars because their business is gone. Many movements all over the world feel that safety nets are insufficient or unworkable. अब जो सेफ्टी नेट्स हैं जो आपको बेसिकली जो आपकी सेफ्टी के लिए रखते हैं, whosoever they get that you should get economy safety, you should get health safety, and that is insufficient. इसको और बढ़ाना होगा. Right. They have called for a halt to force economic globalization. Now one is economic globalization, which is good. Right. Now here is economic post economic globalization. बेसिकली कुछ जो बिग कंट्रीज हैं वो स्मॉल कंट्रीज के ऊपर ऐसे डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज जो है whosoever developed country, they they force to the developing countries that they should that we should open our market for them so that they should get lot of money and lot of things, lot of dollars for their own purpose. But they don't take care of the economically weak countries. They don't take care, right? So this is the answer. Now, how to force? Now this is post global. They used to force the weak countries that they should do whatever they want to do. Okay, come to the much more easy aspect. Why Britishers came to India and they forced they make the Indian subcontinent as a colony. उन्होंने इंडिया को कॉलोनी क्यों बनाया? डेवलप करने के लिए हमें, या हमको तहजीब सिखाने के लिए, कर्सी सिखाने के लिए, सिविलाइजेशन के बारे में बताने के लिए, या अपनी लैंग्वेज को सिखाने के लिए? नॉट एट ऑल, नॉट एट ऑल. We were colony of under five countries. 5 देशों ने हम पे राज किया. 5 देशों ने इंडिया को अपनी कॉलोनी बनाया. Why they made so? Because India was at that time also having a good market in India. They knew that Indian market is a booming market. They don't want French people. They and in England, French army, in England army. They had a lot of fight because why? Because they want to capture Indian markets. Right. So globalization not it's a new part. It's a very old scenario. The word is a new for us. Globalization. It was 4,500 years ago also during the civilization, Indus Valley civilization, Harappa civilization. That time में भी उस वक्त भी globalization था और आज भी उस वक्त नाम नहीं था. आज नाम दे दिया गया है क्या? Globalization. Okay, so they have called for a halt to forced economic globalization, for its result would lead to economic ruin for the weaker countries, especially for the poor within these countries. अब मैंने अभी आपको कही थी किसी से जबरदस्ती आप उसकी इकोनॉमी को कैप्चर करोगे बिकॉज दैट्स अ वीक कंट्री और उसके मार्केट को कैप्चर करोगे दैट कंट्री विल ruin. वो कंट्री तबाह हो जाएगी. दैट इज कॉल्ड पोस्ट ग्लोबलाइजेशन. क्यों किया जाता है? क्योंकि द बिग कंट्री वांट्स टू कैप्चर द स्मॉल कंट्री। बड़ी मछली छोटी मछली को खाती है, ये भी वही ग्लोबलाइजेशन का एक हिस्सा है। बड़ी मार्केट छोटी मार्केट को खा जाएगी, right? That is the answer. That's why developing countries are suffering a lot of negative aspects, right? So advocates of economic globalization, yeah, advocates of economic globalization argue that it generates greater economic growth and well-being for the larger section of the population where there is a deregulation. What do you mean by deregulation? Deregulation here means जहाँ पे कम कानून होता है, पे के लिए penalties are less, rules and regulations are less, where the country doesn't interfere very much into the atmosphere of business of the with the other countries, right? So advocate जो कहते हैं कि जो advocate करते हैं economic globalization का, who said basically economic globalization is the best, वो ये नहीं मानते, वो ये मानते हैं कि when economy is boosting up, that particular country is also getting economic benefit. So उस कंट्री को भी इकोनॉमिक बेनिफिट मिल रहा है, जो पुअर कंट्री है, जो गरीब कंट्री है, वो इस बात को नहीं मानते कि बिग कंट्रीज आर स्वेलिंग ऑफ द स्मॉल कंट्रीज, उसको निगल रही है, उसको ये नहीं मानते। वो ये कहते हैं कि एडवोकेट्स ऑफ इकोनॉमिक ग्लोबलाइजेशन आर्ग्यू, वो ये तर्क देते हैं दैट इट जनरेट्स ग्रेटर इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ। वो ये कहते हैं कि जॉब आएगा, जो गरीब कंट्रीज हैं उनके यहाँ पे जॉब आएंगी, मार्केट नहीं बनेगी, नई नई चीजें आएंगी, लोगों की इकोनॉमी बढ़ेगी, लोगों का लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड बढ़ेगा, लोगों का लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड बढ़ेगा। लोग एक बड़े नजरिए से, बिग एस्पेक्ट से, ग्रेटर एस्पेक्ट से वर्ल्ड को देखेंगे। एजुकेशन बढ़ेगा, हेल्थ एंड सैनिटेशन बढ़ेगा, फूड प्रोसेसेस, फूड एंड अदर ईटेबल आइटम्स वहां पे आएंगे। सो दे विल ग्रो अप, they will grow up. They don't think that one big market is capturing the small market. They don't go for the negative aspect, but there is negative aspect also. Many now also uh, the farmers, they are agitating. They have the fear, right? They have the fear in their mind. Fear factors से है कि multinational companies आ जाएंगी। They are apprehensive. They are apprehensive. Why? Because they think that the multinational company will come and they will capture the Indian market. They will be nowhere. That's the Kisan are thinking about it. Right. So the advocates of economic globalization argue that it generates greater economic growth and well-being for the larger section of population when there is a deregulation. Greater trade among countries allows each economy to do what it does best. यदि हमारी इकोनॉमी अच्छी होगी तो हम वो काम कर सकेंगे जो हम चाहते हैं। पैसा ही नहीं है, आइडियाज होने से कोई फायदा नहीं है। इफ यू हैव गॉट लॉट ऑफ आइडियाज, right? You have got lot of ideas, but you don't have the money, then that has no value. उसका कोई वैल्यू नहीं है, उसके कोई इफेक्ट नहीं होगा, right? So and ग्रेटर ट्रेड जो होगा, इससे क्या होगा, इकोनॉमी आगे बढ़ेगी और कंट्री जो है अपने लिए अच्छा कर पाएगी। दिस वुड बेनिफिट द होल वर्ल्ड, right? They also argue that economic globalization is inevitable. Inevitable means which you cannot stop. Inevitable. Globalization is inevitable and it is not wise to resist the march of history. पुरानी बातों को आगे लेकर नहीं चलना है। जो बीत गई सो बीत गई, जो बातें खत्म होगी, जो हिस्ट्री बन गई, we should not we should take the lesson from the history, but we should not repeat the history again. This is because it's a type of development. It's a time of development, right? It is time of to have a great economy, great economy. It's an economic boom is there, right? The country they wants to get near to the another country. Why? To get the market. So we said the globalization is inevitable, and it is not wise to resist the march of the history. More moderate supporters of globalization say that globalization provides a challenge that can be responded to the intelligently without accepting it uncritically. हमें जो भी सपोज ग्लोबलाइजेशन चैलेंज तो है बट इतना बड़ा चैलेंज नहीं है कि हम इसको एक्सेप्ट ना कर पाए हम नो जो काम वट एवर द समथिंग इज गुड the people are going to criticize it. When we criticize it, we will get the things which is bad, which is worse, or which is the best one. So when the critics are coming, so we should that is a filtration, right? जो अच्छी चीज है उसको एक्सेप्ट कर लो तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन में वो एक्सेप्ट करते हैं कि there are minus points in the globalization but there are the plus points also in the globalization. Why don't we accept those plus points? So it however cannot be denied is the increased momentum towards interdependence and integration between government, business, and ordinary people. Here it is. So जो हम इस चीज को हम डिनाई नहीं कर सकते क्या डिनाई नहीं कर सकते ग्लोबलाइजेशन के कारण कि हमारा एक दूसरे के ऊपर डिपेंडेंस बढ़ा है इंटरडिपेंडेंस बढ़ा है यू नो आई टोल्ड यू दैट इन द सेट ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन वी कैन नॉट बी अलूफ हम अलूफ नहीं रह सकते हैं हम अलग नहीं रह सकते हैं हम कहेंगे कि नो आई टोल्ड यू वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एग्जांपल व्हिच आई वांट टू गिव यू दैट इज यूएसएसआर सोवियत संघ पहले इसको सोवियत संघ कहा जाता था एंड सोवियत संघ वाज अ कम्युनिस्ट पार्ट ऑफ गवर्नमेंट कम्युनिज्म था वहां पे दे लेनिन मार्क्सवादी वहां पे काम हुआ थे दे सेड नो टू द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड दे वांट टू डेवलप देयर ओन एंड दे सेड दैट एवरीवन इज इक्वल. Let me tell you one thing, everyone should be equal, but let me tell you one thing, can you say that Chinese economy and American economy is concerning and what we were earlier and what we are now and what we will be in the future? Why now due to this globalization, earlier America was not having good relation with India, now we having very good relation, interconnectedness with each other. Now interconnection, ये ग्लोबलाइजेशन ने एक दूसरे को पे इंटरडिपेंडेंस बढ़ा दिया है हम एक दूसरे के साथ कनेक्टेड हो रहे हैं राइट एंड इंटीग्रेशन बिटवीन द गवर्नमेंट इंटीग्रेशन मीन एक दूसरे से जुड़ना हमें एक दूसरे से जुड़ने शुरू कर दिया किसके थ्रू business के through and ordinary people have different part of the word relative or simple people uh, some very simple people right they are now doing good job in America and other part of the country other in foreign countries they are getting very good jobs why they were educated why and they are they are getting education they're getting education. Due to the education, they are getting good jobs over there. So we are interdependent, interconnected with each other. Due to the business and ordinary people in different parts of the world as a result of global, and this is how they are getting jobs due to the globalization. So this was the economic part. I cleared the political part. I cleared the economic part. Now we are at the cultural consequences. Cultural consequences. Now, negative aspects also, some positive aspects also. The consequences of globalization are not confined only to the sphere of politics and economy. Globalization affects us in our home, in what we eat, what we drink, what we wear, and indeed what we think. देखिए ग्लोबलाइजेशन ने ना आपको पूरी तरह से जकड़ लिया है अब कोई भी चीज जो घटनाएं हो रही हैं वट एवर द हैपनिंग्स हियर इन आवर सोसाइटी हमारे समाज में जो घटनाएं घट रही हैं राइट एंड वट एवर कल्चरली वी आर कमिंग क्लोज टू द वेस्टर्न कल्चर राइट हमारी पॉलिटिक्स हमारी पॉलिसीज हमारी इकोनॉमी हम जो पहनते हैं वट एवर द वट वी वियर वट वी ड्रिंक राइट वट वी ईट and let me tell you what we think also what we watch everything has its dimension, its own dimension, its effect from globalization. Right. So it shapes what we think are out preferences. Right. Now, the cultural effect of globalization leads to the fear that this process poses a threat to the culture in the world. It does so because globalization leads to the rise of uniform culture or what is called cultural homogenization. Basically, now just I know I told you, Hindi is one of the best language throughout the world. Let me tell you one thing, right? Hindi, जो हम हिंदी बोलते हैं, right? So, but it's a it's a it's a demand of time that we should switch over to English. Why? Because the world is getting close to just in next to your doorstep. बिल्कुल घर के दरवाजे के सामने आपका पूरे दुनिया ना मोबाइल इज देयर, right? Online classes are going on. You can download any book and you can read it. You can enjoy the book. You don't have to go to the market. If you